We all in the shot there? Those of you longtime fans of the show, some of you have been wondering, who is this guy who's been hanging out in the last few videos?
I don't know.
This is my best friend from high school. And after high school, he was the best man in my wedding, Accountant Mike. He also, for about 6 years, was the accountant for Squash Hollow Farm.
He dumped me.
Yes, I don't have a farm business right now, but one of us still does. What's your farm business called?
Bluebird.
What did you call your?
Bluebird Eggs.
Bluebird Egg Company.
Oh, it's so cute. Do bluebirds lay eggs?
Well, he's got a chicken named Bluebird.
Ah, Bluebird and Associates Egg Company.
So today we got Accountant Mike here to teach some basic business principles to my son, CEO. He's also going to be
Chief Egg Officer. CEO.
That's pretty good. We should make a new Homesteady shirt.
We should.
This video is going to help you with pricing any products from your own farm. So we're going to dive into the Bluebird Egg Company, figure out how to price these eggs, because this guy's been selling eggs. Well, what do you think? What's your gut tell you?
Probably too cheap.
So Mike, what are your questions?
Well, I heard you have a business, and you know, I work with a lot of businesses, so I want to hear about yours. So tell me about it. What are you doing, and give me the details.
Every morning I go out and feed and water the chickens.
Okay.
And collect the eggs.
So how many eggs do you usually get?
Sometimes I might get a dozen, maybe a half a dozen, maybe a couple.
Okay, so how much do you pay for feed?
Maybe sometimes $100.
Okay. Sounds like you've got a nice little business. You certainly seem to enjoy it. I'm hearing a lot of, like, you know, you're not really sure, you don't know how much feed you go through, you don't really know how much the feed costs you. What I want to do with you is I want to take some time, figure out how much all of your inputs cost, right? And then figure out this is the total cost of the product, and therefore how much do we need to sell it for. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so I want you to show me what you do, show me how you do it, and let's try to track this stuff, okay?
All right.
Let's go. So what just happened there with the Bluebird Egg Company happens with a lot of businesses at a lot of different sizes. You have an owner like this who clearly loves the business, who clearly wants to be doing this, but doesn't seem to really understand all of the ins and outs of the financial aspect, right? Okay, so Chief Egg Officer, show me the way.
All right, this way this is the chickens, like, so these are some of my chickens.
All right.
Yep.
It's property of the Bluebird Egg Company.
Yeah.
All right, tell me what you do.
So these are all the eggs. Looks like they could all use a bit of washing right now. See under these. Yeah, I need another one.
Okay.
Those two. Okay, that's it. So my day starts, I wake up, I have my breakfast, I do the eggs next. I feed them, water my chickens, and then that's probably what I do for the whole morning.
Can you show me how much feed you use every day?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, we're out of feed.
Oh boy. Okay, so that means you need a new feed bag, right?
Yep.
When was the last time you replaced this?
I don't really remember.
Okay. Well, this gives us a good opportunity to start monitoring our consumption.
All right.
What do you call this thing here?
Feed bin.
The feed bin. Okay. So your feed bin is empty. So what I would do if I were you, mark this day on your calendar and remind yourself that today is the day you refill the feed bin.
Okay.
Then we're going to find the next time you refill the feed bin, and we'll be able to see how many days went in between.
All right.
That way we know how much feed we're really using every single day on average. All right, so where's the feed? Fill this thing up.
All right.
How often do you fill this thing up?
Maybe like every morning I come out here probably.
So what we can do is come back tomorrow and figure out how much of this feed we've actually gone through so we can get some sort of approximation of our feed input. How's that sound?
Good.
All right. They, the animal. All right. Thanks for showing me your whole process. I really
welcome.
appreciated it. There's a couple of things I liked, and a couple of things I didn't like. Can we take a second and talk about it?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So I really like that you're paying a lot of attention to the customer's experience.
Thanks.
I also like the fact that you clearly knew right away what you actually do every day. I don't like the fact that you're not paying attention to your inputs very well. If you don't know those things, you can't adequately price your product, right? So starting today, you're gonna mark your calendar and you're gonna track all of this stuff.
All right.
So then in a little bit, we're gonna have solid numbers, okay?
All right.
So how much do you sell those eggs for?
For here, maybe like 3.
$3?
Yep.
$3 a dozen?
Yeah. Thanks.
Was it worth it?
Yep.
Okay. We'll see if it actually was in a minute.
You say-
We'll find out tomorrow morning if it really was.
Good job, buddy.
You're welcome.
All right, now.
All right. So it's been 24 hours. We're here to check on, what are the things we checking on? We gotta check some stuff, right?
Yep.
We're checking.
Food, hay, and water.
And then we need to know, those are our inputs. What's our output?
The eggs.
Right, so we need to know how many eggs that food, hay, and water produced, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
I have a fishing scale here. We're at 9.36 pounds. We'll fill this back to the top and see what the weight is.
So 24 hours ago, we came in and filled up that feeder pretty much all the way to the top. What we're gonna do now is figure out how much we've consumed over those 24 hours. Since it's pretty easy to figure out a price per pound for your feed, you get the idea. We brought the feed level back up to what it was yesterday. We started with 9.3 pounds in this feed bucket. We're up to 18.85 pounds. So that tells us whatever the difference is what got consumed over the last 24 hours. We'll write those numbers down. We'll do all this math later. All right, so we're done collecting.
Yep.
How many eggs did we get?
13 eggs.
13, so we got a baker's dozen.
Yeah.
Does that work when you're talking about chickens?
I don't know.
We got 13 eggs, okay. So I think at this point, our Eggman over there still has some chores to do, but at this point I think we've taken all the measurements we need. We know how much feed we went through, we know how much hay we're using. We also know that we don't have to worry about water because water is basically not costing us anything. We're gonna go figure out a couple of other expenses and then get a final cost for how much it took this little Bluebird Egg Company to produce 1 dozen eggs. So I did a bunch of math using all the figures we gathered just a few minutes ago. We figured out that we're using just about 9.55 pounds of feed every day. We're using about half a flake every day. And I went and found a cost for 1 egg carton, because you need 1 egg carton for every dozen eggs, right? And then I talked to your dad about your overhead costs. Things like eventually needing to replace one of your chickens when it dies. It costs you about $3.77 in feed to get a chicken ready to lay. You take the feed plus the cost of the chicken, that means it costs you $6.77. Each chicken is going to produce about 400 eggs in its lifetime. That means every egg you need to earn a little bit of money in order to pay for the new chicken. Do you want to know how much it is?
Yeah.
You need to make about 20 cents for every dozen eggs that you sell in order to buy the new chickens.
Yeah.
That's an overhead cost for you. So we've talked about a bunch of numbers. What does this all mean?
I don't know.
That's okay, I'll tell you. Today, you collected 13 eggs.
Yep.
We calculated that it cost you a little bit more than $2 in feed, and we calculated it cost you a little more than 22 cents in hay. Now you collected 13 eggs, which is more than you need for this dozen. So if we run all of those numbers through this formula that we created here, and we add in your overhead costs, such as the cost to replace this chicken, we come to a final margin cost to produce 1 dozen eggs of, do you want to guess what the number is?
I don't know.
We did all the math. It's actually costing you $2.62 to produce that dozen eggs. So I bought this dozen eggs from you for $3, and you now know that it cost you about $2.62 to produce it. Was it worth it?
Yes.
Okay. So as we've just learned, our chief egg officer here is selling these dozen eggs for $3. It cost him about $2.62, which means he's looking at about 38 cents of profit out of each dozen eggs. To me, I would prefer to see a little bit of a higher margin, which means earning a little more profit on each set of dozen eggs.
All right.
If your market can support it, I would love to see you sell these eggs for $3.50,
All right.
or maybe even a little bit more. This is where you're going to need to go do some research. Find out what other local egg producers are selling for. If they're selling for $3.50 or $4, I think you need to bump your prices up. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time with me today, man. I like your little operation. I think you're doing a great job, okay? All right, well, bye, I guess. Doing this sort of stuff is hard, and it's actually something I do a lot of. And for the first time in Homesteady's history, I'm actually in the real world, in my actual job outside of this channel, I'm taking on new clients. So if you've got a farm of any size and you'd like to do some kind of work like this, or if you'd like to work with me on something more advanced, contact me. Austin runs the channel, he'll put a link below to my email address. Even though I do stuff like this, my actual primary focus is things like tax planning, business acquisitions. If you've got anything like that you'd like to run by me, reach out. Let's see if we can work together. This was a ton of fun. I'm glad I swooped in while he's only charging $3 a dozen, and maybe I'll see if I can get him to give me some kind of bulk discount. Who knows? Anyway, have fun out there. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to sign off a YouTube video, so.
Is this your first solo sign-off?
Bye. Yeah, first one.
Don't let a bear get you on the way out.
Yeah, don't let that bear eat you. Like that one!
There you have it, everybody. Accountant Mike doing what he does best. We have a ton of podcast episodes with this guy. You can check out our podcast in the links below. But if you enjoyed this video and walking through this with Accountant Mike, the kind of business side of things, let us know in the comments below, because we could bring him onto the channel as a regular feature. Maybe an Ask Accountant Mike where you throw questions at him from your own farm. Ask him in the comments the questions you want answered. And if we get a bunch, we'll just start a series and he'll answer your questions. We'll just throw curveballs at him all the time. Do you need a little bit more help pricing your farm fresh eggs? This video is actually a short version of a 40-minute long video where Accountant Mike walks you through every single step of the pricing process, making sure you haven't missed anything. That can be found in the Homesteady Pioneers library. Click here to become a pioneer. It's just $5 a month. Helps us do the show, and it gets you bonus content, classes, videos like the extended version of this one, discounts, and more. You can learn about that by clicking here.